We're in the building. We do a lot of walking, y'all. Good morning. Good morning. It's Tuesday. Tuesday, really new, right? Early start to the day. I can't wait. I'm a little bit behind, but good morning. It's Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, just like you, and delegate. Yo, first of all, we're walking into the office. It's a ghost town. There's nobody here. So, let's get to it, right? We have a lot today. I hope that you are doing well, more folks, and that you had a great Monday. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I just came up the steps. And that's what we do, stuff like things. Just came up the steps. So I hope that you all were able to make it a great Monday. It's Tuesday, so if you've been joining us on Tuesdays, then you know today I have committee at 7 a.m. elections, and if you don't know what committee is good morning, early bird. I'm getting that worm. One way or another, we're going to get that worm. And if it's a whole lot of us, we might eat for a long time if we get those worms. So look, Tuesday mornings, every Tuesday morning during session, I have a committee. So I'm assigned 2 committees. As a freshman, you don't tend to get a lot of committees. I think at most, some of the freshmen may have like 3 committees. So the 2 committees I'm on, again, are elections and privileges, and then communications, technology, and innovation. This morning is a really, 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 really important day for the elections committee. And I'll just, guys, give you a debrief and then talk about why it's important, how that connects back to what you guys do back at home. So my committee this morning, we are going to be hearing a lot of constitutional law. So if you've ever voted, which I hope everybody is, if you ever voted, you know, sometimes there is a constitutional amendment on the ballot. And oftentimes they'll give you this little explanation of what the constitutional amendment is, what you're voting on, because we're trying to change the constitution of the state constitution. So we have the constitutional amendment today, which is a really, 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 really good one about restoration of voter rights. Delegate Price of Newport News has submitted a lot of really great bills on how restoration of voters' rights should be automatic. There shouldn't be a governor's discretion on whether or not people get to get their right to vote after they're incarcerated. So this constitutional amendment will change it so that in Virginia law, in Virginia Constitution, if you're incarcerated, your right to vote pauses, and then once you're not incarcerated, you get that right back. Now, it's interesting, something I learned yesterday at the meeting before the meeting was that when we have to change the Constitution for the state of Virginia, we ultimately have to pass like 3 laws. Like if it's a procedural kind of, if it's going to change how we do things, you have to vote on 3 things. Let me say that, 3 things. So we'll vote on 3 things. We'll vote on 1, the fact that we're changing the Constitution, 2, the language that's going to be on our ballots this November, and then 3, how we execute that constitutional amendment. So it's a really important vote today. I think it's going to pass. Actually, I know it's going to pass because there's some Republican folks that are bringing the same bill forward. I think we all want the same thing, which is a beautiful thing. We are also voting to change the Constitution to not prohibit same-sex marriage. Whether you know it or not, our Constitution right now says marriage is between a man and a woman, our Virginia state Constitution. So that's on the ballot. And then there's some other constitutional change about boards and stuff, which seems nefarious, but I don't know. I have try to examine every bill with everything we vote on with a fine eye as I sort of get my footing. Here is why this is super important, y'all. It's the meeting before the meeting where everything happens, right? I am learning so much in all the meetings before the meeting. So before I had this meeting today, there was a meeting last night. Before I go into session is 12 o'clock when the gavel bangs and everybody's together and we're making all these decisions. Before that, I'm in a meeting going through what's happening in that meeting. And that's super important for preparation. So when you think about, like, tonight, there's a city council meeting, right? There's a work session, and then there is a public session, right? Both of them are public, but there's a work session, and then there's a formal meeting, right? I'm going to tell you, a lot of the best knowledge and the best information that I got when I was when I wasn't here, right? When I was trying to figure out what's going on in Norfolk, which I still am, right? I'm still a citizen there. It was the work session where they brought all these people in and they would talk about the plans and stuff that was going on. And that meeting happens at 4 o'clock. But then you're showing up at 6 o'clock so they can vote on all the stuff they talked about at 4 o'clock. And oftentimes there's PowerPoints and there's all these different things. So, like, I am going to encourage you, just like today, before I go to this elections committee, right? I went to the meeting before the meeting, and it was very eye-opening, and I could ask all the I'm not going to say the dumb questions, but I could get clarity on all the things I was ambiguous about. Like, I didn't know certain things, and I was just like, what is this? What is this mean? Why is this way? And so when I go down to vote here at 7 o'clock, when I go to the committee, the Elections and Privileges Committee, now I'm ready. I can go in there and I can confidently vote, and I'm just getting my footing with that. So I'm going to urge you guys, as we sort of do this thing together, right? Because the state and the local government, we're connected in so many ways, that if you have the opportunity, look at the meeting before the meeting, right? Look at that work session where they're talking about the next plans with transit, where they're asking each other the hard questions. You don't see them talk a lot. You don't see council talking a lot when you're at the formal session, right? That's because they already had that conversation. And so just as I'm learning too about showing up in the conversation where the questions are being asked, we have to do that on both sides, because much of what we do here, not only does it impact our state, or it not only does it impact our little corner of the world, it impacts our state. And I do not take that lightly. Good morning, Denise. Good morning. Yeah, Chioma, I think it's important to understand, because again, I'm still learning. I'm still getting my footing, to be quite honest. So for us up here, right? Like, I will be having, and let me get my calendar. Actually, I'm going to look on Saturday. Hold on, it's here. Saturday, we'll be having like a town hall. There should be something put up, like a post. Sorry, I'm saying something. There should be a post about it. That we are going to sort of do this, but a little bit more formal, where you can ask questions. I'm saying that because if you find, like, Jackie, I want to show up and find out what's happening, but I don't know what to ask. We are looking and creating opportunities for you all to be able to engage in a meaningful way. Let me tell you, there's so many different types of buckets of law, right? That I don't know. Some of the emails I get from constituents, I'm like, yo, I'm not smart enough to be doing this. I need you. So, like, as I recognize that there is so much human capital right in you, I'm working out the team. Our team is working on ways to have you guys be able to help us so we can have a meeting before the meeting and do this job better. So this summer will be a series of, there will be a series of opportunities for us to dig in. Like, what area are you passionate about? Is it domestic violence and sexual abuse? Because that's a whole bucket. We pass all kinds of laws on that. Is it transportation? Is it housing? Is it voting rights? Like, we're going to have some work groups, so I need you to think about what's important to you. Is it elder law? Like, that's a whole... I sat in a meeting where we listened to about 10 bills on elder law, on elder care. As a matter of fact, one of my bills that just passed out of committee that will go to the floor, the first one yesterday, let me do this. The first one yesterday was a law that will allow folks that are loved ones or family members of an incapacitated adult to get a notice to let them know they can be a part of the guardianship process. Even if they don't want to be the guardian, they can be a part of the process of still electing the guardian. Many people didn't know that. So that is going to, that hopefully if it passes on the floor, then that will be a whole thing. We'll update that notice. The second thing that passed yesterday out of committee, and it'll be on the floor, I think today, is we updated the statute that talks about forfeited assets, what police forfeited assets. So when the police gets, you guys have probably heard this if you've been on here, when the police get drug money or stolen cars or what, you know, when the police get assets, they get like leeway to do certain things with that money. So what we did was update that statute to say that they can do all the things that they used to do with that money, but they also can do community reinvestment, right? So we just opened up the things that they can do. That passed unanimously. So sometime this week, I will, for the first time, be on the floor explaining my bill, and two of them will get voted on. And hopefully they get voted on out of the House, and then next week they'll go to the Senate because we're at crossover. And I'll explain crossover on Thursday, what crossover is and what that means. I'll explain what that means. But to sort of walk it back, when I say out of committee, remember how I said I'm about to go down to a committee right now? Everything's got a pipeline. It's got to go through a committee before the big group votes on it. And so we're really excited that it's had a life out. Two of our bills, 2 out of 5, we were only able to put in 5 because, you know, we showed up the day before. We were only able to put in 5, have made it at least to the floor. 1 is dead. What dead? By dead meaning it didn't. You guys probably know there are a bunch of articles on it. The inauthentic replica documents, where we are trying to get police to not be able to forge documents, at least state documents, that didn't get voted on. That got laid on the table, which means they're like, yeah, we're putting that aside, but we're going to bring it back. So there's that. Let me see what we got in the comments. Here we go. So Chiam, in the future, will you please inform us of jobs we need to apply for that will bring us into the circle of influence other than legislative aids? Yes. And to be quite honest, Chiam, that is a great question. That is a great, statement. That's a great ask. Let me say that because it's a lot. It's a lot, and you want, at least for me, you want everyday people to come in and be a part of the conversations. So what I'm hopeful for is that next session, right, if we're here next session, right, or I don't know what's happening with redistricting, that's a whole nother conversation that we can talk about. Actually, our newsletter came out, so there's some information on redistricting in our newsletter, and I encourage you guys to go to delegatejackieglass.com. That's Delegate Jackie Glass. Sign up for our newsletter because talking about redistricting is super important. We have new maps, so all of our areas are going to shift. I will now be, instead of being in the 89th district, I will be in the 93rd district, I believe. And we may have to run this year or we may have to run next year. We just don't know. And if you were in Norfolk, right, 2 of your districts had, with the census, redistricting happens after the census, right? When we know where people are sitting, right, where numbers are, if your district has over, I think, a 20% change, then they have to redistrict. And I believe that 2 of the wards in Norfolk had more than a 20% change. And I may be wrong on that. I think it may be less than 20%, but Ward 1 and 2. So that is over by the base, and then over by the base and Ward's Corner area, and Lambert's Point area, around those places is Ward 2. So like stand by that our maps in Norfolk may be redrawn, and they could just redraw those 2, or they might be redrawing all of them. So that's some questions you guys, we need to be asking at the local level, because the state level we had our sort of, conversations on that. but I will let you know of any opportunities. What I was alluding to, or didn't finish my statement on, was that next session, I do want to have days where you can come work a day up here. We've had three different community members just come up for the day or two and be able to work in the office and help us do things, just so you can see how stuff goes down. Like, it's a great opportunity just to be up here and just to do. So like, we want to make sure that this is a space and place where you feel like, hey, I'd love to come up and see, what the heck are you doing up there? Like, what are you doing up there? You have that opportunity. Denise, awesome domestic violence is your, Denise, you're a social worker. Can I tell you guys, we don't have enough of those? Can you? So Denise, because you're a social worker, I'm going to sort of foreshadow to what is on my docket. And then, as you guys know, I have a 7 o'clock, so I'm gonna dash out. But what I would really like to do as we sort of build these working groups, remember I talked about having these buckets of things based off like our committees, these buckets of things where we're able to get the smartest people in our community or the most passionate people in our community and be able to work together on thank you, Josh, and work together on pulling policy and pulling programs and being able to ask smarter questions. I am hopeful that we get some social workers in each of these groups, because let me just tell you something. As a very new legislator, what I'm learning, a lot of what I do is case management. Like, a lot of what the team is doing is case management, and we're really sort of being of service. I've gotten a stack of mail from people, incarcerated folks, asking for help, right? I've gotten tons of email from people asking for support on, I've got a lot. I said domestic and sexual abuse, because I've gotten a lot of emails about that. So like, really being able to respond to people, even if I'm not voting the way you want me to, I can explain it, or we can explain it, or just getting people to resources, because that's our responsibility. That is called constituent services. How this office takes care of you is super important. Denise says, I'm baffled why there's money for peer recovery specialist trainings, but after they get the training, the specialists are denied jobs because of their criminal backgrounds. That is, sister, that is something to bring up. What I bet is most folks don't know that, have no idea, had no idea. And it's great to have a peer who has some experience, right? A peer that has been through it, that is able to. So like, at the very minimum, Denise, I'm going to ask that you, if it's something you're passionate about and you want to put it on our docket now, go ahead and email me at Del, D-E-L-J Glass. So that's like delegate Del J Glass, so Jackie Glass, at house.virginia.gov, and just say, hey, I asked about this, and this, again, so we can get you in the queue to make sure. Or a matter of fact, I will have up on the website, we will be putting it up so people can engage with their areas of interest, so that when we get back home, because I'm only here until March for right now. March 12th is considered our last day of session. That when I come back home, we are going to be as strong as our teams, right? Again, I do not know it all. Sometimes I'm voting on stuff and I'm like, am I really the smartest person to be making this decision? We had bills on like optometrists versus ophthalmologists, and I was like, y'all trust me to make this decision? However, I did take time to go talk to optometrists and ophthalmologists and sort of have the conversations about what the bill meant, but also go to the meeting before the meeting where all the knowledge was in the room and we can talk it out, and I can vote from the most educated place. But I want to do that back home too. Again, thank you, Josh. Yep, so much for putting that in there. Josh is a powerhouse. Josh put jobs.virginia.gov. He said, Chioma said, please consider qualified mental health professionals. We do crisis stabilization and case management. Yeah, like that's what, this is all of constituent services is case management. And I want to do it from a place of knowledge where we're adding value to people's lives, and people are adding value to the work that we're trying to do here so that we can do a better job. We're doing a good job, but I want to do a better job because we're still getting our footing. Okay. I have for, yeah, hey, I'm with it. So please, oh please, oh please, join us on Saturday at 6 o'clock. We're gonna have a town hall where we're just gonna like, it'll be not an extended version of this, but I will do like the important highlights of stuff and then sort of talk about what's next. If you're not able to join us on Saturday it's a Zoom link, it's a Zoom. And I promise I'll be on, be brief, and be off. Thursday, I will be talking to you guys about crossover. Now, let me just be honest. It's going to be a long week. This week, the days are probably going to get longer as we sort of try to push bills through so that they can get over to the Senate for crossover, and we'll talk about that importance on Thursday. All right, yeah. Y'all ready for today? I'm as ready as I'm going to get. And what I'm hopeful is you guys are able to make it a great day. Hopefully Tuesday we'll be saying that we have 2 bills that made it out of the House, because we're doing little stuff and things. And I'm going to ask that you guys take care of yourself. Please, 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 hold on. Let me be an example, okay? Let me be an example. I'm going to be a good example of this because I want you to do this too. Let's do it together. Come on, go get your water. Again, we all plants up in here. Water yourself, okay? I appreciate you guys, and I will see you on Thursday. Until next time, this is Jackie Glass, or Jackie Hope Glass as I'm going by now because I love my daddy. Mama Navy Vet Certified Doer just like you, and delegate for the 89th District of the House of Delegates. See you guys on the other side. Make it a great day. Oh, thank you.